Tom had always been drawn to antique stores, the hidden treasures buried beneath dust and cobwebs. On a quiet afternoon, while wandering through a small, dimly lit shop tucked away in the corner of town, he found it. A tall, ornate mirror, its frame carved with intricate patterns of swirling leaves and vines. Its surface gleamed despite its obvious age, as though it had just been polished for the first time. The shop owner was eager to sell it, offering a steep discount that made Tom's decision even easier. He took it home, imagining it as the perfect centerpiece for his living room. He hung it on the wall opposite the sofa, admiring how it made the small space feel more open, more elegant. That first night, as Tom sat watching television, something in the mirror caught his eye. At first, he thought it was a trick of the light, a shadow flitting by, something outside the window. But when he turned, there was nothing behind him, just the empty room. Over the next few nights, the strange shadows became more frequent. At times, he thought he saw movement in the mirror, a figure standing just out of focus in the background. The unease began to settle deep in his chest, but he brushed it off. It had to be his imagination. He was tired, stressed from work, but soon the figure became unmistakable. It was no longer a vague blur. He could see the outline of a person, a tall, thin figure standing directly behind him in the reflection, watching. Every time Tom turned around, the room was empty. The figure never appeared anywhere but in the mirror. He tried moving the mirror to another room, but the presence followed. No matter where he hung it, the figure appeared. One evening, as he stared at the mirror, trembling with fear, he noticed something he hadn't seen before. The figure wasn't just watching him, it was mimicking him. When Tom raised his hand, the figure in the mirror raised its hand too. But as Tom's breath quickened, he realized something was wrong. The reflection wasn't quite right. Its movements were delayed, slightly out of sync, and its eyes, they were different, darker, hollow. In a panic, Tom decided to get rid of the mirror. He carried it out to the curb, setting it down with shaking hands. But when he returned to his apartment, the mirror was back, hanging on the wall, the figure waiting closer than ever. That night, Tom woke to a strange sensation. He was cold, his breath misting in the air as though the temperature in his room had plummeted. Slowly, he turned toward the mirror, dreading what he knew he would see. The figure was standing just inches from the surface, its face clearer than ever before. Its eyes met his. Then it stepped forward, not toward Tom, out of the mirror. Tom scrambled back, heart pounding as the figure stepped into the room, silent, its body contorting as it moved. It towered over him, its dark eyes locked onto his, unblinking. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. The figure leaned closer, its cold breath brushing against his skin. With a chilling whisper, it said, "I've been watching you for so long." The next morning, the apartment was quiet. The mirror hung on the wall, its surface pristine, reflecting the empty room. But something had changed. If anyone looked closely, they'd see a faint shadow in the glass, standing just behind the figure of anyone who dared to gaze into it. And those who did, well, they never looked away for long.